Jeremy, do we have Molly?
She's not on yet.
Oh, she's not on, okay.
She said she's landing right now, so she may have to pop in afterwards, but
Okay, so there's a good chance she won't make it.
she might be on now.
If she's just landing, I'm thinking.
Yeah, she said she will try to jump on right now, so we'll just plow through.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is September 8th, 5:30 p.m., and this is the first public hearing on the proposed budget. Lori, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Gambra.
Here.
Vice Mayor Stone.
Here.
Councilmember Brandon.
Here.
Councilmember Prince. Absent. Councilmember Young.
She's not on.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Hopefully Molly will join us, and hopefully Councilmember Prince will arrive here in short order. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it's unanimous 3-0. I'm going to turn this over to the village manager. Jeremy, would you like to take us through the brief presentation on the budget at this point?
I'd first like to just thank council for their leadership, vision, I guess more communication on what your guys' I guess hopes and vision for the village are. And then of course thank staff for their hard work, finance with Hugh and Michelle, the tireless hours you guys put in, Matt Hammond for the work with utilities and the long-term planning, and then of course, you know, all of our directors have had a hand in that. So I appreciate, you know, it's been a long process throughout this just to get where we are tonight. This is going to go over a little bit of the objectives of the budget. Our budget was to serve as a management guide, planning document, as well as a financial roadmap of throughout the coming fiscal year. Village staff has developed the budget with the goal of providing a range of important services to residents as we continually strive to increase the quality of life for our residents and visitors alike. The recommendations included in the fiscal year 2022 budget, proposed budget, represent a commitment to efficient and effective management of the village's many resources while advancing the village council's priorities and vision. A couple, just to remind everybody how this process is kind of, I guess, played out. We did start with our strategic initiatives back in February. We, directors and staff have started the budget process in March. Had a budget workshop on June 23rd, another budget workshop on August 17th. Of course, the tentative budget hearing tonight and our final budget hearing will be September 16th. We have posted the draft budget, we have budget in brief, and we've publicly noticed all the meetings and documents. Public hearing, the proposed millage rate that you will see in the budget is 6.629 mils. The proposed operating millage rate necessary to fund the budget is 4.41% greater than the rollback rate of 6.3492 mils. The increase in ad valorem revenues will be utilized to meet the operating requirements for the general fund as presented. Just to kind of summarize where we are. The proposed FY 2022 operating represents a $7,401,180, which is a 31% increase over the fiscal year 21. The general fund increase primarily attributed to the allotment of American Rescue funds, the increase in ad valorem tax revenues, and the decrease in lease purchase proceeds. The water utility fund increase is mainly attributed to the future proposed drinking water revolving loan that needed to capital improvements. A couple of highlights for the general fund. There's no planned increase in millage rate. Proposed tax revenue increase of 6.1% or $468,000. The overall increase of $71,000 in intergovernmental revenue category, mainly due to the following: increase in state shared revenue of $138,310. Decrease in state grants and for parks and recreational purposes, $100,000. Proposed increase in $20,400 in federal grants. Increase in local discretionary infrastructure tax, $98,620. Decrease in administrative fees of $174,940 for services rendered for user departments, and then a decrease in miscellaneous other, which is attributed to the sand project. Like mentioned, there is no planned millage rate increase. Overall increase of 5.63 in taxable values from previous year. That's an increase of 29.26% from 2017. Some expenditure highlights: increase in salaries and wages of $224,080, increase of 3.8% in health insurance costs, which is $57,000. We do have planned cost of living adjustments for CWA of 3.02%, police of 3%, fire of 3% with their step, and the non-union of 3%. Decreased employer pension contributions of $72,550. We do have planned the corridor study of $105,000, Remembrance Park drawings of $75,000, the Tequesta Park ball fields of $30,000, the debt service on the community, new community centers, $345,000, so we are recognizing that debt service. And then transfers to capital improvement fund for the ARPA funds, road improvements is $359,590. So the total estimated usage of the ARPA funds for this particular budget year is $1.1 million. These are just the highlights. We went over this with American Rescue Plan funds. This is the 3-year outlook for those funds. We do have to encumber those by the end of 2024, and we have to expend them by 2026. The building fund highlight, the budget for the 2022 budget year is $676,000 and $260. The building permit fees budget is $500,000, so we plan to use the fund balance reserves of $171,860. This is assuming there's no major projects that come in and we get building permit fees for those. We haven't planned for some of the larger projects that may be coming to the village. So the projected building fund reserves at year end of 21 is $825,000. Using that $814, using that $171,860, we project to have $653,954 in reserves at the end of the year. Other governmental funds, we have our capital improvement surtax fund, repairs and maintenance of roads using the ARPA funds, $359,590, pathway and sidewalk improvements of $60,000. Transfer to capital projects funds, furnishing new rec center software, $87,000. Capital replacement costs for police radios, $15,000. And projected increase in fund balance reserves in that fund is $171,670. The capital improvement surtax fund, 301, this would be the balance in the year with that $171,670 that's not used. We'll have a balance in that reserve of $537,789. The capital projects fund, this is the fund where we borrowed the money for the rec center and other additional items. So the repairs and road maintenance is $255,000. Construction, park furnishings and equipment, $67,000, and recreation software, $20,000. Other funds, the refuse and recycling fund, there's no major change in the operating budget for the fund. The waste management charges to the village increased by 3.5%, and that's per contract. At the end of the year, we project a $63,000, $81 in balance at the end of the year. The water utility fund, rates scheduled to increase 3.5%. Salaries, benefits, and other operating expenses to decrease by $295,670, or 6%, due to the completion of the automated water meter project. Capital outlay to increase by $6 million for needed water system improvements, which include Florida well rehabilitation, the water treatment plant upgrades, energy resource improvements, the number 2 membrane, the water main replacement program, the superficial well replacement, concentrate disposal relocation with the FDOT bridge, superficial well replacement, number 18, and the filter media replacement. The stormwater fund, the rates are scheduled to increase by 10%. Stormwater pipe replacements, $25,000. Stormwater improvement, the ARPA funds, we plan on using $150,000 this year. The stormwater pipelining of $51,000, and swell restoration of $56,000. That'll leave an unrestricted balance of $196,388 by the end of 2022. 5-year capital, you guys have seen that, and so this is just a slide just representing that over a 5-year period. We do have a couple significant expenditures this year with the road programs. Just kind of a higher level look at the breakdown of capital improvement. It is $26.5 million over 5 years. You'll see a big portion of that is in the water administration and some water projects we are doing. We do have some use of ARPA funds, and then, of course, stormwater projects. And with that, I can take any direction or questions from the council.
I'll tell you what, before we go to council, being a public hearing, I'd like to give the public first chance to make any comments or ask any questions that they might have. Do we have any cards, Lori?
Okay. Before we go there, do you mind if just for the record, I just want to mention that Councilwoman Molly Young has joined early on when you started. Jeremy's talking.
Yeah.
Yes, hi guys.
Hi, Molly.
And we have Stephen Smith.
Hey everybody. Hi everybody.
Stephen, you can give us your full name and address.
My name is Stephen Smith. I occupy 354 South Cypress Drive in Tequesta, Florida. My just small little issue with the budget is concerning the ARPA funds and how they are appropriated for a business liaison event planner. I would just like to say, as an owner of a small business in Tequesta too, recently the Village of Tequesta reached out to small businesses. That's great. You gave a lot of support, like as far as allowing us to speak and come up with different ideas. We tried to do a few different promotions to increase revenue for the small businesses I participated in. Anyway, I just think that it's a bad idea to create a job for a business liaison with the Village of Tequesta, and the reason is this. It seems like the Village of Tequesta went above and beyond the expectations of the businesses during the events that we had planned. And honestly, myself and other businesses that participated in it didn't necessarily see any sort of increase in revenue. It was nice to be able to share with our customers to, save their receipts and they can win good prizes and stuff like that. But in terms of actual revenue increase during the things that we tried to do, we didn't really see any. So another thing being the Village of Tequesta has, and I appreciate this, I don't mind it in the least, you kind of take a hands-off approach to what exactly we want to try to do, push with the businesses, basically that is seems to be the MO of the village, and it just isn't. It's not that it's not effective. It's as effective as it can be from the village's point of view, when what you can do is like promote, you can post and do all these mailings and things like that. But as far as like actual revenue created, good things coming from it, aside from, communications with the business and the council, which is great. But aside from that stuff, it just seems like kind of a moot point, and we shouldn't appropriate ARPA funds for this. The ARPA funds should be saved for things that really will make a difference in the village community, like, storm protection, bioswales, improve water filtration, all these things to just like do better things for the residents in terms of that, if that makes sense to all of you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have Mark?
Thank you. My name is Mark Superior. I live in the Country Club. Please remove from the proposed budget the allocation of ARPA funds for a business liaison position and all the connected budget items totaling $444,320 over 3 years. So this current allocation is an intolerable waste of money. And you have the choice to devote this money to critical infrastructure to improve storm resilience, in particular bioswales, to mitigate against flooding, for example, or to waste it on a frivolous, bureaucratic administrative position. Anyone who votes to do the latter can make no credible claim to fiscal prudence. It's very simple. All you have to do is to allocate this money to storm resilience and not to waste it. Moreover, you know very well that when the ARPA funds end, this cost will be carried directly by village taxpayers. Under the Charter, Section 212, as I see it, you would not be able to stop easily this position once you start it. So this would, in effect, be a stealth hire without disclosing the real cost to the village. This is dishonest and you should not allow it. Also, this is a small village, 5,800 residents. It's ridiculous to add this kind of administrative position. The right approach here is simply to form a committee of residents, small business owners, focused on planning events that are of greatest interest and most helpful to them. This community does not need a bureaucratic director for that. Even the job description you've provided stipulates a supervisor under Greg supervising volunteers. No, that's exactly back to front. The staff are employed to do what the residents want, not the other way around. Taking a step back, this budget item is so ridiculous, it seems most likely it's just a cover to add staff. And if that is your actual purpose here, it's additional staff for the rec center, for example, that's a real problem. Under no circumstance should you add staff in this deceptive manner. You're bound to the cost estimates that you gave to residents before the rec center project was approved. It's deceptive to add this kind of substantial expense after the fact. If the cost planning omitted necessary staff, the planner should be held to account. There are two critical issues in play here. First, transparency, and second, ensuring residents have reliable information, especially on the cost of projects, so the village can make good decisions on projects based on truthful and complete information. ARPA money is not free money. We all pay federal taxes. It's not okay to cultivate an attitude of treating state and federal money as deserving of less careful planning. It does not matter where the money comes from. You should always steward it as carefully as possible. Careful stewardship in this instance is clear. It's actually set out in the federal statute. Put all this money towards storm resilience. For Florida, that makes sense. This is a strategic village priority, and it benefits all residents and all businesses.
Okay. Jeremy, I think there may be a little bit of a misconception on what this role is. Jeremy, do you want to perhaps speak to that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, through the conversation, I mean, the two main points was, you know, increased communication, provide opportunities for businesses to participate in special events, be more visible, create sponsorships opportunity, advertising opportunities through the special events. And so this is an opportunity with our special events to help coordinate those and provide those opportunities. I mean, this was a kind of initiative that council took on with trying to help the businesses recover from COVID, as well as, you know, in the future with the bridge closing and some other items to make sure that our businesses are sustainable.
Okay. Any other comments from the public? Okay, it's now closed to the public, open for council discussion. Molly, you're on the screen. We don't see your face, but we see your name. I'm going to let you go first. Are you still with us?
Okay, yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. I guess I'd like to clarify what's the total of the ARPA funds that would go towards this position? Again, Jeremy, can you refresh us on that?
Stand by, I'll give you.
Over the 3 years?
Let me find it real quick. Hold on just a second.
He's looking for it.
So the business liaison, I mean, total benefits, everything is $85,000 with salary and benefits.
So,
Operating.
Mark, this is closed to the public now, so this is council discussion. Sorry. That's it. Okay. Jeremy, go ahead.
If you want it over the 3-year period, it's $264,320. Is that
Okay,
what?
and then I know I've been a big proponent from the start to, you know, a lot of the things we're all using the funds for. I also, in addition, wanted to make sure we're giving back to businesses or the residents that were impacted by COVID. And I do know a lot of the previous things we've tried, like the TBA, the business forum, they kind of have fizzled and fall flat over time. So I feel like we're struggling to find a good solution. And we're thinking the business liaison would be a good one-person contact conduit for the businesses. I am open for, you know, brainstorming and thinking of other creative ideas besides this position, but I was a proponent of that. And then the only other overall question I have of the budget was, with the ARPA funds, is there any kind of contingency plan in place? Say, should we do a reporting in the first year, federal's not happy with it, and then we don't get funds next year?
So overall, you know, there's a reporting process. There'll probably be a single audit required. We have working with our auditors. I think if I understand your question right, probably the the concern with the ARPA funds is if there is an expenditure in here that, that they would reject, we would have to cover that cost another way. I don't think that they would, reject the whole thing. They might just, reject one particular item, but, we've covered our bases. They all meet the criteria for the ARPA fund. So I think, from our side, even speaking with our auditors, we feel comfortable that they all meet the categories.
And Molly, from when I was up at the Florida League of Cities meetings and people were discussing the process they were going through to try and validate and make sure the funds are being spent properly, the process that the village manager has outlined is basically what I was hearing as a best practice at the league as well, where they, working hand in hand with the auditors, the attorneys, to try and make sure that they've properly identified the classifications for which money could be spent. And then everybody obviously has taken a step forward based on those recommendations. So based on what I heard there and what our process is here, it sounded like we were engaged in best practices as far as how we're approaching this whole thing. Did you have any other?
Okay, yeah, I just kind of, that answers my question. With the contingency, I kind of think nothing's guaranteed, so I just kind of think in terms of like what's the backup plan in case, something happens and we don't get all the funding that we expected. But other than that, those were my only questions.
Okay, thanks, Molly. Lori?
I guess I'll stick to my routine. Every budget meeting, I bring up that position, and it's not the position itself. My concern is not the communication to businesses, but calling it what it is. I don't think Tequesta needs to be a marketing agency. I think that's on a business to do marketing for their business, especially since each business is very unique in what they sell or provide. If our park and recs is going to be in need of a person, a full-time staff member, let me correction, then let's just call it what that is. Now, if that's a person that's going to be doing special events, fantastic. Definitely think we need to reach out to our businesses and include them at all costs on anything we ever do. But again, I don't think we need to be micro marketing them. We have tried very hard, and Mr. Stone led a great group, and unfortunately it did fizzle out. Maybe the businesses didn't need to be handheld so much. Maybe they don't want that. So I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, so to speak, nor do I feel super comfortable putting taxpayers' money into marketing our businesses, when really if locals just go and patronize the businesses, that's the most helpful, I think. My concern biggest when we talk about budget is I would like to talk about staff maybe really breaking down what this position is really going to be, take a little time, step back, and detail it. I also don't think it needs to be a position that needs to be enacted right away, especially since the rec center, if it's on time, which we all hope it will be, it won't be ready till what, next February? Is that correct?
I think they're hoping for staff to move in January with an opening at the beginning of February, yes.
So to speak. So I mean, that's 3 months someone's not really gonna be doing the job of planning events, and our staff right now has already been doing our events that we've been doing for years, so I don't know why they can't do it in the meantime. You understand my confusion? So I just almost want to request to the staff, take a step back. I'm not saying eliminate the position, but really just pinpoint what it's going to be and call it what it is.
Okay.
And I am concerned about how we're going to keep that person after ARPA funds end, because that is going to have to be on the taxpayers as well. So again, pinpoint what the position is, whether it has to be restructured in a couple years. Definitely don't want to lose a person if they're doing a good job. I just think we need to be very careful about what we're doing.
Okay. Anything else?
Not right now.
Okay. Kyle?
I think those are all valid points, and talking about this business liaison person, special events with the rec. Over the last 6 years as a business owner in the village of Tequesta, I have tried to interact within other businesses through the different organizations that we've had, from the chamber to the Tequesta Business Association to the Hope Sound Chamber to the trying to do it all internally. And the one difficulty aspect, or the biggest issue that we've had in that whole process, is there's been multiple people changing throughout that whole organizations or trying to get people together. So I think having a one-point contact is, I think, is really valuable to helping things succeed with regards to the communication from the council and the village to the businesses. We're currently doing that, and a very good job of sending out an email often, and then also Fridays, or there's some emails going out to the businesses. But there's that missing quest of touch of that individual personal contact. That's because everyone that is communicating is just pushing it out there, and they're not actually going and knocking on the door. So I think having that position to be able to go knock on the door, pick up a phone call, and talk to individuals is vitally important. The other aspect throughout the different meetings that we've had, we've really missed or tried to get to the residents more engaged with the businesses. Not in the aspect of we need to promote our businesses, but we need to let our residents know who's here and how they can interact with them. And I think this individual can help the village do a very, very good job of making sure the residents know what's here locally through the different events and different things that we've got going on. So I'm in favor of it. I do understand it's important to be a good steward of the money. I believe that we can get the compounding impact to our local businesses so that they can receive the benefit, and that's ultimately the goal. And I think these are well-used funds from the federal government to be able to help push the residents into the businesses as best that we can. Not to mention with the bridge coming down, there is that push of what are we going to do to help our local businesses, and we really need to step it up. And I think over these next 3 years is a vital time that is going to be very prudent for us to really get ahead of it. So I'm all in favor of it. I'd like to move forward with the way the budget has been presented, and I think the staff did an incredible job to get that done.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. I think I agree with all that Kyle said, and I also agree with what you and Laura, you and Molly said. I think by calling it a business liaison position is kind of understating the role, because you're right. If you look at all the events that, we're going to open up the new rec center. We've got a staff of 3 people right now, 1 part-time. We're going to need some additional staffing there if we're going to operate proper hours. But we also have so many different events that we could bring the businesses in as part of, whether it's Tequesta Fest, whether it's the food trucks, whether it's the Easter egg hunt. There's all sorts of events that occur. It's probably a good 10 or 12 events occurring right now throughout the year. And I agree with Kyle. It's not that we're necessarily promoting the businesses, but we want them to be aware of what's happening so that they have an opportunity to then engage with the residents through many of those events. What I'd like to suggest is this. I agree with Kyle. Let's pass the budget as it stands. And if we want to have some additional discussion around this position, and there's some additional ideas that people would like to put forth, or some additional definition as to the role, I think we can do that, and I would suggest we do that in a workshop. But I think at this point, I agree with Kyle. I would leave the money in the budget as it stands, pass it as it stands, and then, like I said, if we want to have some additional discussion, we can. I do think, even though the rec center is not going to open up till January or February, there is planning that goes into all these events, and I think getting somebody on board who then can take over the responsibility, begin the planning process, reach out to the businesses. Again, I think giving them, a 2 or 3 month head start before the rec center opens is actually going to be important to their maximizing their effectiveness in the community. So.
One thing I will add is, this is the Village of Cuesta. We ask our employees to wear a bunch of different hats all the time, and that's not something that is unusual at every level of all the organizations.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because Lori does a great job with all this, but Lori's got so many things on her plate. This would help her out a little bit, also help out the rec staff a little bit, allow them to focus on that new center and the new opening and the programs that they're going to be bringing forth. So, okay, at this point.
Hey, Frank.
Yes, Molly.
I have just 2 more quick things to say. I think it was possibly the last budget hearing, but there was a very detailed job description for this position. So I think I did send Jeremy some comment after that meeting. I don't know, Jeremy, if you have an updated one, but maybe everyone could revisit that if there's concern about the person's responsibilities. And then I do want to say, I've been at chamber events, I've had investment companies come up to me and say, who do I talk to for this? Or I'm wondering about this. And, there's no one really to direct them to. get back behind the computer, email Jeremy the questions I got, and, he funnels it through. So, I've had some that have interest, they want to set up a booth at an event, when are your events? Can we go to any? Is there a fee for us? So there's really no one to do that. And I've just personally seen interest from local businesses as well. So I just wanted to share that, I have that. I've seen that, which is another reason that I'm a proponent for this.
Yeah.
Please don't get me wrong. It's not that I absolutely think we need someone pinpointed in the village as a contact, because I think it'll move smoother. I just want to make sure that on Greg's part for his team, with the bigger building and the organization and the events, plus people renting out the rooms, and there's night activities, probably like yoga and stuff. I just want to make sure that this position is focused on serving Tequesta-based residents and the businesses, but again, not getting too distracted with the marketing aspect. Just the communication aspect is what I'm looking for, and making sure Greg is getting the support for his team.
And that's a fair statement, and I think that is, I don't want to speak for Greg, but I think that encompasses a lot of the vision here. It's about communication, bringing people in, not marketing on their behalf,
Okay.
but making them aware of the opportunities that exist.
That's fine. I just want to be clear
So,
about that. I
if we
just want to
wanna-
make sure it's pinpointed and focused.
Yeah, if we want to have a little further conversation on this, we could do this at the next workshop. So, all right,
for now.
any other comments? Okay, I'm going to close it to the council. Can I have a motion to adopt the tentative budget as presented for the
The
fiscal
millage
year?
rate is the first
Oh,
motion.
I'm sorry, you're right. Can I have a motion to adopt the tentative millage rate for fiscal year 21-22 at 6.6290 mils?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Molly. Okay, the second motion is to adopt the tentative budget as presented for fiscal year 2021-2022. May I have a motion?
Motion.
I guess I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. All right, the time and place of the final budget hearing will be here again on September 16th, a week from tomorrow, at 5:30 PM. And I have a motion to
For
adjourn.
the record, here is Village Hall Council Chamber.
Yep, sorry, Village Hall, yes, council chambers. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Molly, thank you for dialing in for us.
Hugh.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night. Take care.
Hugh.
Bye.
6 o'clock.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good deal.
One down.
2 to go, tomorrow night.
Yes, tomorrow night and next week.